Welcome to the pod, where we're going to talk about
our thoughts, stories, and hot takes, but do it all respectfully, of course.
So today's episode is going to cover many topics, and we're very excited about it. But we're just going to kick it off with a fun little headline of Menaces to Society, because I have some thoughts and hot takes.
Yes.
And to be honest, if you disagree with some of these, that might mean you are some of these. So take it with a grain of salt.
And I do feel like that's a really true statement right
Yeah.
there. I'm sorry in advance if you feel that way, but I feel like a lot of these are honestly going to be driving related.
Listen, there's so many different kinds of menaces to society, but when we're making this list, it's driving after driving after driving one.
Yeah, I would just be in the car and I'd be like, oh, there's another one. Let me remember to tell Kayla.
I feel like when it comes to being in the vehicle, the menaces to society list is endless.
It really
There's
is.
The amount of pet peeves you have while driving that I'm like, I don't like that, I don't like that, that was annoying, don't like you, and then you kind of become a menace yourself.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I acknowledge I'm not the best driver, you know? But these aren't necessarily like about bad driving. It's about like rude, annoying drivers, you know? And I don't feel that I'm one of those. So, do you want to start with the first one?
Yes, I can start with the first one. People who park in two spots, or at least to the point where you can't even park next to them. So they may not be like split 50-50 between two spots because that's too obviously bold, but they're enough into another spot that you can't park next to them.
Limited. And I feel like most of the time it's generally a good parking spot too.
Yeah.
It's not like the back of the lot. It's like you're up there.
And if you're worried about your vehicle getting damaged or dented, or if you're worried about parking, park in the back of the lot. That's what that's for. You have so much space. So to do that in a really convenient spot for everyone else, just to block another spot, is rude. Especially when people are driving and think that they see an open spot and then go to pull in and are like,
it's
just
such
kidding.
a psych. It's such a psych.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, this isn't totally related, but I saw a major parking fail, if you will, the other day, and it was right up front. It was at Target, and I'm sitting here in my car, and she's like one over across. This girl starts to pull in, and here's the thing. Sometimes you're like, oh, I've got this, and then as you're pulling into the spot, like you said, I don't got this. I'm going to back out. I'm going to go and find another spot, and that's okay to take the L sometimes because you're protecting yourself and others. Yes. This girl did not want to take the L and ended up taking it a lot harder as she pulls into the spot, and I just hear as she just scrapes up the whole vehicle next to her. It wasn't a brand new vehicle, but it was certainly a nice vehicle. And then she goes, backs out of it. There's just white scrapes against the entire vehicle. I was like, I literally am so like shocked right now. And then her whole bumper was like hanging off. So it wasn't completely off her vehicle, but it certainly was not staying for long.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how would you let it? And even if the second you hear the first, like you feel your vehicle run into the other vehicle, that should have been the cutoff. But she kept going, and then she backed up. So that I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't stay. There's so many other people around. It was such a public area. And she just like backed up, sort of, stayed there for like a minute plus because I was kind of waiting to see what she would do next. And I probably should have at least like grabbed her plate number or made sure she like put her contact info and like did the right steps. But to be honest, I'm not totally sure I know all the right steps. But then I was like, I just feel like this is too much for me to be too personal. Yeah. So then I just left.
Yeah,
and then told everyone about it.
I will never risk it in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of times that you like kind of think you can do it and you're like, ooh, that's not going to work. And I just give up right then and there.
Okay.
Like, I'm not willing to risk that happening for my parking spot.
Yeah. I know. I literally sat in shock for that minute that I waited for her to do something. Like, my vehicle, that could happen to my vehicle at any point in time. Like, you're just parked. You can't control other people. Your vehicle is never safe. What if you walk out from grocery shopping, arms full, and you just see your entire side of the vehicle destroyed? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I honestly
Terrible.
don't know. I hope I don't ever find out.
And I know accidents happen, but she was wrong for that one. She was wrong for letting it get as bad as it did.
Our next one is semis passing semis. Oh my gosh, this It irks me. It really does. Like, you're going on your road trip, you know, you're on the interstate, and all of a sudden you're trying to pass, and you see the semi in front of you switch over in front of you.
No, it's literally like when you see that, you just go, no.
It's like there's nothing you can do in that situation, and then you were just behind them. You're stuck. While they slowly, progressively get by them because they are going 1 mile per hour faster than the other semi.
Here's the thing you'll rarely ever see is a semi passing a semi at a reasonable passing speed.
No.
If you're passing and just getting around them and popping back in, that's one thing. And I know it's harder for semis than regular vehicles. But the issue is that anytime I see a semi passing a semi, it is quite literally 1 to 2 miles an hour faster. And it feels like you're driving for 5 minutes before they get around one vehicle.
And it's like, you really can wait. Like, you're not going that much faster. You can wait until the cars behind you are clear. And then you have an open space where you're not going to bother anybody.
And the worst thing is when it's still under the speed limit. Like, both of them are going under, but this guy's going a little faster under the speed limit. And so he's in the passing lane under the speed limit. Which actually leads me to one of the other menaces to society, being people that go the speed limit or less than the speed limit, more so, in the fast lane. Now listen, I know it's not technically the fast lane. We were taught this in driver's ed. Don't be using that as the fast lane. It's the passing lane. You pop in there to pass, get back over. That's not realistic.
No,
that's
not
true.
just a cultural expectation that is the fast lane. And you don't use it for just another, option.
Yes. And if you're going slow, know your role. That's okay. I understand not everyone feels comfortable going certain speeds. Just stay in your lane, It's a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. This one is one of, I do feel like, the biggest menaces to society, truly. And that is engine revvers. You're not cool. And I'm saying that louder for the people in the back. You are not cool for revving your engine. Never have I ever sat in my car and heard that engine revving and went, oh, who could that be? I need to know.
No, literally, I actually say it sarcastically every time I'm around or next to someone that's revving their engine like crazy. I go, you're so cool. Like, everyone thinks you're so cool. So sarcastically, because no one has ever thought that.
No.
It's just an annoyance to everyone around you. But, like, here's the thing that bothers me is, like, they do, from my understanding, people that rev their engines do feel cool.
They do.
They do think they're cool.
And they're really blinded in that. And for that, I pity them.
I do.
But here's the thing. They're disturbing the peace. They're disturbing my jam time in my car.
Yeah.
It's just not helpful for anyone.
It's obnoxious is what it is. Yeah. Kind of going along with the obnoxiousness, a lot of times it's at stoplights, but it can be anywhere, is people that blast their music. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a windows down, louder music kind of girl because that's the vibe. Like, especially in the summer, like, I certainly enjoy some loud music and windows down. However, for me, it's when not only is their vehicle visibly shaking, but you can feel the vibrations 3 lanes over.
And my car starts to vibrate.
And I'm like, what is happening? And it's also like the most obnoxious, like, insane music too. Yeah. It's never just like casual good music. It's like something that most people wouldn't want to listen to, in my opinion, at least. And I just think, like, I think there's a way to do that where you can still enjoy yourself and feel that overall vibe without disturbing everyone else around you.
Yeah. No, I feel like this is another driving one, but it's the people who try to start races, No.
Oh my gosh.
No. Like, we're not in 5th grade. We're not running around the playground having a competition.
No, for sure.
Like, I'm just trying to get
watched
to
it
work,
happen, and I'm just like, oh.
Just don't try to race me.
Yeah. Have you ever had anyone, like, roll their window down and be like...
No, not like that directly, but I've definitely had it where, like, I'm trying to pass someone on the highway, and then they, like, you can just tell they're trying to, like...
well, I'm... I know what you're talking about. It's a more subtle way.
Yes.
I feel like I've seen other people do the actual, like,
no, I think we saw that, like, literally last week.
Yeah. But, like, I've never personally been challenged, but at the same time, then there's the more subtle ones.
Yeah.
Where it's, like... I'm, like, literally, like... get in front of me or get behind me. I don't care where you're at, but quit with this like back and forth. It drives me nuts.
Well, another thing about that is if you pass someone and then it like hurts their ego and then they feel as though they need to prove themselves. So then they do everything in their power to go around and pass you.
Yes, when you guys are leapfrogging each other.
I can't. No.
That's definitely happened a few times before that I'm like, well, I just passed you because you were going slower. Now you act like you're annoyed with me because I went in front of you and now I'm going slow. I'm going way faster than you were going before. And now all of a sudden you're hurt about it. And so you're going to pass me to just like show me that you're like tough. I'm like, it's okay to go the speed you were going. I'm not like judging you or anything. I'm just politely going around. You know what doesn't feel polite, though, is when you have to pass on, like, you only have one lane on each side of the road, and there's the dotted lines, and you have to, if you're going to pass someone, you have to do it aggressively. I feel like a menace in that moment, because it's like you literally have to go, as you're, like, driving around them. You have to, because someone else could be coming on the other side of the road, and you just need to get around them, and then you'll slow down. But it feels so aggressive, especially when you're passing, and it's like, oh, grandma, or something like that. And I'm just like,
it's actually so...
No, I literally feel like an awful person.
Yeah. Do we have any other driving-related menaces?
People who can't merge to save their lives. Listen, I agree merging is stressful and it's difficult. I understand that. But it's like, the point of merging is that you're going the same speed as the road you're merging into by the time you get to the road that you're merging into. So when somebody's merging onto a 60, going quite literally 30 miles an hour, and I'm stuck behind them, I'm like, you're putting you and me at risk.
Yeah.
And I didn't sign up for this. Like, I know how to merge, and now it looks bad for the both of us as we're running into cars.
Yeah.
But also, like, understanding that merging is difficult, people who could move over a lane and don't. They stay in that lane knowing they're going to be right around where you need to merge, and you're going to have to try and cut in front of them or slow down the time to get behind them. It's like you literally could so easily move over, but you chose to stay completely in the way to stress people out, and that's so, like, unnecessary. It's just like an unknown rule that if you can, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I could go on and on about these driving ones because I just keep thinking of more, but I feel like that's a really good list right there, and we can leave it there. I have one more, and this is a non-driving related menace, and that is people, usually couples, who take their arguments outside of the house into public places. Like, this happened to me the other day. I was at Target once again. It's just, a lot happens there. And I'm just trying to go through self-checkout, and the couple behind me is just arguing and debating about, like, the most trivial issue. It's not even, like, a big... Which also, don't bring those ones out either.
No,
we don't need to know.
We don't want to hear any arguments.
But especially when it's so petty that it's like, I don't need to know. I don't need to hear about your problems.
But it's like, I understand, like, fights are going to happen.
Yeah.
But, like, we can be adults and be respectful about them. And also, there's a time and a place for it. So maybe wait till you get to the vehicle.
And the Target self-checkout is just not that place.
No, it's not the place. Like, you're literally causing a scene and you know it. But, like, how are you okay with that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of along with the couples thing is, like, excessive PDA in public. That it's, like, I understand you love each other. And I also understand, like, to an extent, like, it's okay. Hold hands, you know? Like, there's a certain level that's, like, okay. But I have seen so many people that I'm, like, I literally wanted to say, get a room, because it's so uncomfortable for me to be... like, around, and it's one of those things that it's like, I should not be watching this. I don't want to watch this, but at the same time, it's so wild that it's like,
and do you know what's happening? Even worse is, okay, I mean, it's not like they were full on, like, making out or anything, but there was this specific couple at church, and I swear almost every Sunday, literally the church service is going on, and they are just so PDA, like 2 rows in front of me, and I'm like,
it's like, let's maybe focus
we're in
on
church,
let's maybe
okay?
focus on Jesus for like an hour.
Yeah, like, this can wait, you know?
Yeah. No, it's just a little uncomfortable. Like, I understand couples love each other, great for them. I'm not, like, bitter because I'm single. I just think it's a little too much at times, and I think I'll stand by that if or when I ever find someone. There's just a time and a place for it.
Yeah.
and out in public,
it's not the place.
Isn't the place. I've had to see a lot of that, like, where I work, that I'm like, you're literally in a deli line, and you're, like, fully, like, on each other. I'm like, it's just a bit much, you know? There are kids around. Take it down a notch. Mm-hmm. There was just one I was thinking of that was, like, so similar to that. Okay. Thought of it. I got it. One thing that I just think is so annoying, and, like, it comes from a good place, but, like, it ends up getting taken too far, that it's, like, they become a menace to society and how they're acting, is when multiple people go out to dinner, go out for coffee, and everybody wants to pay. That's fantastic. It's a sign of, like, love, that you care for each other, you want to pay for the meal. But guess what? Only one person is going to end up paying. So it's like, at some point, we need to be grown enough to be like, listen, like, I'll get it next time, or thank you so much, like, and acknowledging, like, they're just trying to show you that they care, but it becomes a pride thing that they cannot let someone else pay. And I've watched people, I watched it just yesterday, as there's a group of, like, 4 women, all of them want to pay. One of them just ends up paying for everybody because she was, like, first in line and paid for everyone. Fully, they ruined the lunch. They were so upset, so annoyed. Why did you pay for the dinner? I said I could pay for my own, and I watched them walk over to the table, and they're just in a mood the rest of the time. They're so irritated that, my goodness, someone paid for your dinner to show you that they care about you, and you can't even enjoy time with them. It gets taken too far. Yeah. Too far. From something that was, like, literally from a place of love and, like just, like, selflessness.
Yeah. Like, just let it go, or if you must, Venmo them $10 later.
Yeah, no, like, literally, like, I think people need to learn to accept gifts and love more often, and, like, let your pride go for a second. It's okay if someone, like, genuinely wants to pay for your dinner. Yeah. You can get it next time. And just say thank you and move on. It's crazy. It's actually so sad and comical to watch, as, like, full-grown ladies are, like, hitting each other with their cards. They're like, get out of here. I've, like, seen elbows thrown just to, like, pay for a dinner. I'm like, oh my. Anyway. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that concludes our little segment of menaces to society.
So where did we get our menaces from society list? Well, we, of course, got it from our notes app. And we thought it would be fun to just take a little journey through our notes. Because if you didn't know, the Notes app it really is a girl's life tool. Yes. You know, everything we need to know, everything we need to remember.
Our whole life is in our Notes
just app. Everything is there. So we thought we would take you through it.
Yes. I will say, I've got quite a list of
I already know that mine is a lot more boring than hers is. I feel like mine is a little more practical than hers.
Yeah, boo to that. I've got quite the list, so I'm excited for this segment. This is where I'll shine. Let's see, I can go ahead and start. I will say, I don't think this is specific to me. I think most girls, or at least quite a lot of them, have a notes section specifically for names, baby names that they love.
I have those as well.
And I have my boy names, and I have my girl names, and I have names that I like but would never name my kids, and I have names that I would never name my kids. And I have it all here in a nice little notes app, and I can take things out or add things, and that way I'll never have to worry about when I do find out I'm having a kid. I'll never be like, oh, I have no ideas.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot
right there, like middle names, just so many options.
It's pre-planning. Yeah, we're really taking the stress out of it once the time comes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Again, like I said, mine is so boring. Like, the first thing in my to-do list, or my notes app right now, is my to-do list for the week. I'm just like random things I need to do. Yeah. It's so boring.
I feel
really
is. Everybody's notes app, like,
you have to have a to-do list in there.
Are you good about going back and deleting your notes? I am occasionally, but the amount of grocery lists and to-do lists that I have throughout my notes that I'm like, it's literally Thursday of 2022, and I'm like, I think we can delete that, but I'm just not good at going back through. This one's kind of funny because, like, notes apps are just so random. So there's the practical things, there's the funny things, the future things, and then there's the deep things. And all I have in this note is, it's hard to hear God's voice when you already know what you want him to say. Period. That's all that's in there. Period. I thought it was really good, and I was like, let me write that down.
I have just, like, random notes in here from, like, church and just like the sermon pointers and stuff like that. I also, like, I write songs from time to time. And so I just have so many, like, song ideas. And there's, like, a random verse or a random chorus. Or I find one that I wrote from, like, 3 years ago. It's, like, an entire song. I was like, oh, okay.
No, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, they're just flooded with song ideas.
Mine, too.
Exactly. I can't wait to hear them as well.
Yes.
I hope you release
No, I don't have a single song idea in my notes. You know what I do have? 670. Guys, I have to be honest. I have no idea what 670 is for. Is it a money amount? Is it a time amount?
I used to have one of those.
I'm like, what was the 670 for? I will never know. But guess what? Never deleted it. It's from months ago, and it's just in there. That's it. And that was supposed to strike something in my mind, but it was useless.
That's how most of my notes
I should have given a little more context.
Yeah. No, I have a whole list of Midwestern things, like Midwestern phrases. A horse piece.
Well, yes.
Bet your bottom dollar.
Mm-hmm. They're all the things that it's like, when you actually think about them, you're like, where did we come up? Like, what does bet... What?
Give it a whirl. Like, I have so many of these. I'm like, why? I don't know. For future reference, I guess.
I'm just going to sneak right past you there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good Midwestern, yeah. Let's see. I do have a lot of song recommendations for different people because a lot of people ask. I have a friend in particular who asked for song recs, and I sent him them. And I, like, a month later was like, so did you ever listen to them? Nope. I'm like, well, then why do I do the work that I do? It's tiring. It really is. But I know he cares.
Yeah.
I have a notes that says, things I'm passionate about. It just says, any superpower question, teleportation, like literally duh. That's it.
Oh.
Things I'm passionate about is the fact that, which I do stand by, anytime someone's like, what superpower would you want to have? Sure, flying's great, super speed's great, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Teleportation.
Yeah.
You could literally,
over.
Your vacations, you could literally never have to pay for transportation, never have to pay for hotels, because you could just teleport back to your own bed, teleport back to Italy in the morning, go to Bali. Like, it's amazing. And I think it's so slept on. Like, you literally could go from home to work like that and not have to worry about traffic. Mm-hmm. And I think teleportation is far too overlooked of a superpower.
Yeah.
And that's why it's in the things I'm passionate about.
Yeah. I have a list of the random things that the kids I used to nanny for said, just little phrases and things that they said. I also have a list of Swahili phrases.
Because
you never know you gotta be able to whip those out.
I have a lot of practical things for upcoming YWAM trip. There's many notes about it.
We'll also have to unpack that at some point in an episode.
We certainly will.
Stay tuned.
That was just a little soft launch there.
Yeah. I have a bunch of just like my photography business things in here. Again, super practical.
Yes. I do have a lot of the things that are in my notes are segments we have done or want to do for the podcast. I mean, the podcast definitely has taken over my notes app. I do have Daniel's punch order.
Oh, that's good to know.
I do have my brother's punch order in my notes app, just in case I ever want to get him food for free.
Oh, I do have a really embarrassing note for, but I was just going through a really hard time.
Is it like a quote or something?
I can't tell if it was almost like me writing a letter or if it was supposed to be a song. It's just one of those where you can't tell.
That it's just really deep.
It was really deep.
It needed to come out at the time.
It needed a place to rest, and I put it there.
Yeah, instead of a journal, it was just your notes app.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
I do have my 2023 cry log.
Good one.
This one was the most committed thing I've ever... I've never been more committed to something as in 2023 when I went... January 1st, you know what? I'm going to do a cry log of the entire year. So I labeled what days I cried, what I cried about, where I cried. Was it in my car? Was it after work? Was it at work in the freezer? Was it at home?
Dedicated, honestly.
I literally, and so if I cried to a song, what song? And however many times I cried. And then at the end of the year, man, was this a project. I put together a whole PowerPoint presentation of so many stats about my crying in the last year. And honestly, it was the best thing I've ever done. And I'm so proud of it. And I wish I could have done it for this year, but honestly, one, I think I'm having a slightly better mentally year than I was last year. And two, that was exhausting. And I just don't think I have it in me for every year. But man, would it be fun to compare the two.
Yeah. Like, then you could have a whole cry log about the stats over the years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that's the gist of my notes app. I feel like I built up my notes app more than I should have. Like, my notes app is really boring.
I do have a list of, like, we have friends that have a family with 4 kids, and their kids are the funniest kids you'll ever meet. Mm-hmm. Like, it's never a boring second with them. No. And so I went on, like, a family trip with them to kind of help out while the parents went to a wedding for a little bit. And from those 3, not even, like, 3 full days, I don't think, I have scrolling, like, so many funny things that they said and did that it was, like, it was so funny. And then I got to share them with the parents, and they're like, you know what? Like, now that you say that, I did hear that, but I thought nothing of it. And I was like, you need to appreciate the entertainment value that your kids bring, for sure. Yeah. Yes, it was one of my favorites. I do have our address, because for the longest time when we moved, I could not remember my address, and I literally would have to, like, go look it up in something that, like, Hannah sent to me. So I literally had to put my own address in a notes app so that I wouldn't forget it.
Yeah, no, I found a note, and I, like, have just all of my extended family's, like, addresses, their phone numbers and everything, and I'm like, I don't feel like I need that excessive of information on them, but I have it.
Yeah, I do have, because I think it's fun to keep track of what funny things people say. We have a friend who has very distinctive way of talking, and so I just have him sayings in my notes. It's amazing. But it's literally just a notes app of all the things that, like, he is so distinctively says that not a lot of other people do. That's just, like, it just reminds me of him. And then he hears them and he's like, I do not say that.
I'm like, you said it
tonight.
And
I'm like, you said it multiple times in 5 minutes. Like, yes, you do. And I just think it's fun. I just don't think he's joined in on the fun yet. But yes, good stuff. I have a dropout email. Like, when I dropped out of college.
Wait, I wonder if I have my resignation email in here somewhere.
When I dropped out of college, I had to email my advisor, and she was the sweetest, most heartfelt lady, and I loved her, but I was like, I have to somehow let her know, and what is the best way to let her know that I am dropping out of college, like, I've already made the choice, but here's why, respectfully, of course. And I've got the whole email in here, and oh my gosh, it is like 7 paragraphs. She probably was like, okay, I did not need that much. She did ask me to meet for coffee after that, and we had a great sit-down conversation. And she was very respectful of my choice and understanding. But yeah, that was a shock. I totally forgot I had that. That was so funny.
Unfortunately, I don't have my resignation email in my notes, so
that's a shame. I have a lot of, I have my notes just titled sock guesses. Do you remember?
Yes.
we went to
your
Challenge.
Notes app is so good.
I know. We went to Challenge, which is like a youth conference a couple years ago. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a many a sock girl. I'm always wearing socks because I have cold and sweaty feet, so socks really do benefit me. So for, what was it, like a 5-6 day trip? I want to say it was literally like 5 days.
I feel like it was longer than that. I think it was at least a week.
A week? Okay, probably a week max though. So for 7 days, it was like, how many socks did I bring? So before we got on the bus, as everyone's like kind of waiting around before we leave, I just went around and I was like, how many socks do you think I packed for this trip? They're like, how many days it is? Well, they're like, well, it's summertime. So we'll keep that in mind. And we have guesses anywhere from like 13 to 30, 32. Oh my gosh, we had quite a variety of guesses.
What was the correct answer?
I brought 21 pairs of socks for a 7-day trip. And to be honest, I think I probably wished I brought a little more. I know I have a problem, but I also am not willing to do anything about it because, you know, that's something that it's not hurting anybody. My sock issue. So I have from 2020 notes of body measurements because when I was ordering clothes, like sometimes you needed to know like your like random measurements. So I had my height, my like waist, your inseam, all these things. Levi's mom jeans. So I just had random measurements. I also have my signs of dyslexia because when I was in education in college, when I was going into education, not just that I was being educated in college, we were learning about like signs of dyslexia and ADHD and all this stuff. And as we were learning about dyslexia, I was like, really count it up. So I took a list of my signs of it. I have my track PRs. My personal records, if you don't know what that stands for. And it's just always interesting to look at. I cared very much about them at the time. There's a lot more in there, but I feel like that's a good gist of a lot of my notes app. That's like my life is in there, and if I ever lose my notes, it's game over. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So that's why they're backed up on iCloud.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna lead right into our next segment, being rating rom-coms, which I'm super excited about because I think we both love rom-coms, but at the same time, I'm somewhat picky about my rom-coms because there's a lot that I heard so much about, and they're just the most iconic or like classic rom-coms, and like I watch them and I'm just thinking it's not worth the hype. And then there's some that are really, really good. And then there are some that you watch and just go, morally, this is wrong.
Yeah.
This is so wrong. But at the same time, like, you just kind of have to love it because it's so, like, charming and, like, the point of it.
They write it so that you love it.
They write it so you have to love.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it. Actually, there's one that I'm not sure that's on this list that I need to add. Okay. So, to start, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh my gosh. This movie, like, we were explaining it to one of our friends just last night and telling him about it because we're like, this movie, it's so good, but it's so hard to watch.
Yes.
Like, it's painful to get through.
So I love this movie because it really does have that just like it, like the timeless, like early 2000s, like
which
vibe
I
to
love
it.
that time.
Yes,
of
no, I
movies.
love
It's
it.
so good.
It's so well done, and I think like both of the lead like characters in the rom-com are just so charming. They're stunning, but it's like the idea of the movie is like the way she acts makes me so uncomfortable. It's so hard to watch because I'm like, I could never. Like, she literally, as he's having a boys' night, goes up to him and just holds up a tissue and goes, blow, blow. No one likes Mr. Sniffles. And like the things
she's so wild.
She's so wild. And like she's not actually like that, but like she's still acting and doing all this stuff that it's like I could never bring myself to do that. It's crazy. But at the same time, like the ending of it, oh my gosh, it's so charming. I love it.
So good. Yeah.
So ultimately I do like that movie, but the first time I watched it, the shock and discomfort that I was in, that I was like, why is this movie so hyped up?
No,
and
because
like, you really do.
Before I watched it, I didn't really know the plot line of it. And I was just so shocked.
Yeah. Next on the list is we have The Proposal. That's, first of all, Ryan Reynolds. And anything that has Ryan Reynolds, I'm gonna love because I think he's the funniest person on the planet. And then Sandra Bullock, which is, to me, I feel a slightly unlikely pair.
Yeah, no, I would never have expected that.
Yeah.
But it worked somehow.
And it's a very funny movie because it's like, it's a rom-com, but there's lots of rom-coms that are like, they hate each other, but either they have to pretend to love each other or like they do in the end. And this is one of those things where they literally have to pretend to love each other because they're getting married so she can keep her citizenship to the US as they like can't stand each other. And so he just like plays along with it. My favorite part is when he literally like, she's like, well, you're gonna marry me because I need to keep my citizenship. He goes, ask me nicely. And he literally has her get down on her knees and ask her, will you marry me? Like you mean it. In the middle of like public New York City. And I was like, he is such a boss for that, being she's literally his boss.
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
And he really took his chance and ran with it.
He did, because at this point she needs him. And I think that movie is so funny. It's very out of pocket once they get to Alaska.
Yeah.
Gammy, what's that one guy's Ronaldo or whatever his name is?
Whatever his name is.
The guy that is of many jobs in the town. There's one scene that's just like shocking.
Oh, it's so shocking.
So shocking. But it's like, it's funny. That's just a good classic funny movie. And they do fall in love in the end. And it's like, it's so cute. Yeah. I love it. Next on the list, as I don't have it pulled up. Oh, I have opinions. The Notebook.
Okay, so first of all, I've actually never seen this one before.
And you certainly need to, but can I warn you, when you watch this, be very careful who you watch it with, if anyone.
I feel like I've gotten that just before. Yeah.
So, I feel like The Notebook is one of the most overhyped rom-coms of all time. Yes, it's charming. Yes, there's moments of it that it's like, oh, it's sweet, you want to love it. One, you watch that movie and you're like, I cannot stand by this. I cannot support it. In the beginning, Ryan Gosling, whatever, I don't even remember who the character he plays is, but you watch the way he interacts with the girl, and I'm like, this is toxic to a T. They always are fighting, and so it's like this passionate summer love, but it's like they are fighting constantly. Anyway, and then at the very end, the one, Ryan Gosling, whoever, goes off to war, he's gone, so then she finds a fiance who's a lovely guy, great for her parents are thrilled about it, and then she finds out he comes back. So they have this whole like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you wrote all these letters to me, I didn't know you loved me this whole time. She basically has an affair with her, like, the other guy, when she's literally engaged to be wed with another guy. And I'm like, that's the movie, is like, stay with me. And she's like, well, I'm engaged, but like, I love you. And I'm like, this poor other guy, this poor man, he treated her so well, and like, it's awful.
And speaking of like the morally wrong movies, but that is The Wedding Planner. Like, the basis of that movie, it's morally wrong, but they write it so that you still like are rooting for the characters. And it's like,
the whole time I watched it, I was like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. But I love them together. Yeah. The writers know what they're doing. Really that one has, once again, Matthew McConaughey. He's a very good rom-com lead. He's just got that charm, the cocky swag that like makes you kind of love him. And then Jennifer Lopez. And they're just like, they're so cute together. But she's literally planning his wedding with someone else the whole time. Yeah. They wait, even though they know they love each other, they don't say anything until the day of the wedding, when he breaks up with his literally like minutes away from being wife. Yeah. I'm like, this hurts me to watch, but I love it. Yeah. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Overhyped. I didn't.
I love 10 Things I Hate About You. 10 Things I Hate About You is one of my favorite rom-coms.
I disagree with you there.
I think that like the characters in that movie, once again, it's that early 2000s charm that it's like they're all in high school, and so it's like a younger style rom-com than like the older like mid to late 20s rom-coms. But like this one, to me, it's like I just love all the characters in it, and I just think it's so funny, and it's like it's got very out of pocket moments, but like it's not just like one couple that you're following their storyline. It's like many of them. So I really enjoy that one. That's one of my favorites.
I was just bored.
Heath Ledger?
Honestly, I just like I was not vibing with that movie.
No, I loved it. One that I think is way overhyped. Have you ever seen Sleepless in Seattle?
No.
That is one that, like, when you look up best rom-coms as you're trying to find like good new ones to watch, that is one of the classic best rom-coms ever. I watched it. Tom Hanks is one of the leads in it. And then I'm trying to remember who the other lead is. I think it's Meg Ryan. I watched it and I went, I cannot get behind this. Like, I wasn't sold on the romance. I was like, they hardly know each other, much less love each other. And the main character is literally a dad whose wife passed away and he's taking care of his son. And then the girl who they end up falling in love is literally like heard about him on the radio. I don't know. It's like, it's weird. I watch it and I'm just like, I don't got it.
Speaking of Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, another one I would say is overrated is You've Got Mail. Like, I watched it and it had been like really built up to me, like, oh, such a classic, it's so good. And the whole time I'm just like, I just don't buy it. Like, I feel like those two, more so Tom Hanks, does not give me rom-com vibes. Like, he does not seem like he should play a love interest in any way. Like, sorry. Because you're used to him as, like...
He's Woody.
Woody from Toy Story, or, like, a grandpa, you know? And it just... The chemistry was just not there for me.
Have you ever seen Clueless?
Oh, I don't think so. Have I? That sounds familiar, but I don't think I have.
Clueless is it's so wild. I can't, like, give you the whole plot line, but basically, there's a sister she's the main character of the movie. Her name is Cher, I believe.
Oh, you know what? I think you've explained this to me before, and that's why it's familiar.
And then she ends up falling, even though her best friend is falling in love with her stepbrother, then they realize, her and her stepbrother, and I know stepbrother, not technically blood related, but they had this sister-brother dynamic this whole time. And then she literally ends up falling in love with her stepbrother.
No.
Nope. It's one of those things, like, you have to be able to get behind the romance at the end, and I could not get behind it. Have you ever seen Me Before You?
No, but isn't that, like, super depressing or something?
I don't want to watch a rom-com and be literally heartbroken, bawling my eyes out when the movie ends. He literally, so it's this guy, and he's paralyzed from an accident. And so then this girl comes and takes care of him. And they end up falling in love. And they're so sweet, and she's so good to him. And he understands her better, even though she has an actual boyfriend. Can't forget to mention that. Her boyfriend is not fantastic, but this guy, like, understands her, knows her so well, and cares about her. You can see that throughout the movie and see it develop. And it's so sweet. They have this whole magical moment, go on this trip. It's, like, so wholesome, and you're, like, there forever. And then the movie ends with him literally, like, deciding to... because he just doesn't want to live the rest of his life like that. So he basically, like, medically has himself killed. And then it's this letter as she's walking, being like, I want you to move on and I want you to love your life. And I was like, she better not love a second of her life. You literally, like, it was the most aggravating ending to a movie. But it's like, it's so charming as you watch it. But it's one of those movies I don't think I could ever watch a second time.
Yeah.
Okay. 13 going on 30. You've seen that, yeah?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, 13 going on 30 is one of the most hyped, like, you always hear about. Rom-com, 13 going on 30. I will say, the characters who play it, charming, but once again, morally wrong. So this girl and this guy, they're 13, they're at her birthday party, she wishes she was 30. 30, flirty, and thriving, is what she says. She, all of a sudden, magically, is 30. And everybody else is, like, grown up too. So then the boy that she kind of was in love with, she finds he's either married or has a fiance, like he's going to be married. So then they fall in love. What is with people falling in love when they have a fiance?
It's the plotline of rom-com.
It's like, it's not okay. And then as you watch the movie, it's like she's a 13-year-old in a 30-year-old's body. So watching a full-grown woman look and act like a 13-year-old is like, it's actually hard for me. That's one of those hard-to-watch movies that's like, it is fun and it is charming, but it's also painful.
Okay, I saw Princess Bride on your list, and I don't like Princess Bride.
Me neither.
I don't like it.
I honestly, it like is the least stick-out movie I've ever seen. Like, I see it and I forget it instantly. Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you a single thing about Princess Bride.
I feel like I've seen it multiple times, and I just... First of all, I don't think it's that interesting.
No.
It makes me, like, so uncomfortable at times. I don't... And everybody's just like, oh my gosh, Princess Bride, so wholesome. Like, love that movie so much. What?
A lot of people do love it. No. And listen, like, love what you love, and I respect that. But it's like The Princess Bride is just never... The only thing that sticks out to me from that movie is the marriage, and love... True love.
No, and that actually, like, drives me nuts.
No, I love it.
Like
I honestly, Lauren, catch me having that at my wedding. I don't even like Princess Bride.
No, I actually really
I'm going to have someone make that announcement. I'm going to have someone walk up to the microphone
like when people do that. It's like, okay, it's been done before. I get it. It's a little joke. I don't like it.
Lauren, listen, you're gonna have to put... I might have you do the announcement.
Absolutely not.
Walk up to the mic and make that announcement, because I think it's actually hilarious and the only good part of that movie.
No.
We're almost done, but I do have a few more on the list. What to Expect When You're Expecting. You recommended to me.
That's such a good movie. I love that movie.
I didn't know what to expect from it, and I was like, you're kind of following a lot of different couples, so I was like, I don't know how I'm going to love it.
It makes me cry every single time.
It's really sweet, because it shows, like, every single route and every single dynamic when it comes to, like, having a kid, and it's, like, it's super sweet.
Yeah.
And it's funny. And, like, there's a lot of dynamics to it. There's some shocking parts of it, too. But ultimately, like, I like that one. And I don't, like, you're the first time I'd heard about that movie. So, in that sense, I don't think it has enough hype. I think
it needs
way underrated. Yeah. And then I just have 500 Seconds of Summer. You haven't seen this one.
No, I've had people tell me to watch it. I just haven't yet.
I've had multiple people watch it. And I was like, well, it must be good. People love it. So I watched it. And I was like... Once again, you literally finish a rom-com and you're, like, in tears. I'm like, in a bad way, by the way. Not a sweet way. In, like, I was heartbroken at the end of that movie. And what she said to him at the end, like, quite literally broke my heart. And I had to pause the movie and just let my jaw be dropped for a full 60 seconds before I could even process what she had just done. And I'm like, I know it's just a movie. But it's like, that movie's just so up and down. And it's just like, ugh. Cannot get behind it. But I also, like, I understand why people like it. It's fun. And then lastly is a newer rom-com. And I think there's a lot of classics, there's a lot of old ones that are overhyped. There's some good ones. But this is a new rom-com that I feel like matched that energy.
Don't get a lot of new rom-coms.
Not a lot of
that...
good ones. Yeah, not a lot of good ones that have that same vibe. But Set It Up on Netflix.
That's a good one.
Glenn Powell. First of all, Glenn Powell. Period. That's all I needed to know. And it is like, it is about the assistants of these big people. And there's something about the assistants are trying to hook up their bosses. And then they end up falling in love. And it's funny and it's charming and it's silly. And it's not one of those rom-coms that you watch that you can't watch around other people. Because it's not like an overly like intimate rom-com that you're like, oh, I can't watch that with my family or friends.
Yeah.
Like this one's just like fun for everyone to watch. And so I really enjoyed that one because it's just got like a playful, like young energy to it. I love that one.
Yeah.
I think it's underrated.
So that wraps up this week's episode. We dove into quite a lot there, went a lot of different routes, but hopefully you somewhat tracked with us.
Yeah, that was a fun conversation. I was getting real into it. I'm sorry if I dominated too much. But it will probably be a hot minute until you see or hear from us again. There'll be a little break. So with that being said, we'll see you in a while. We'll see you next time.